Hi there, it's Garrett Brown. This is going to be a video on painting POTUS 47. And also just a brief comment on the source material. One way to combat AI is to use provenance, the history of where the work came from. So in this case, I'm using the metaphor of a horse tripping, and I found the image from a stock photography company called Alamy, A-L-A-M-Y. The license was under $50, and I'm also using a screenshot from a home video, which you can see in the intro. So we did a field burning, and I recorded that. So we're taking, which will be a challenge because the horse is actually in broad daylight. It looks like it's about noon, 11 or so, and then of course the fire is at dusk. So that's going to be the set. This is basically what was brought into Photoshop. The two time of days we're trying to be combined, so the horse was darkened a bit, but anyway, I was able to figure out the composition and go from there. Here's basically a drawing. The most important thing is the fact that this horse is not hit the ground yet. There's only one leg actually on the ground. So that's going to be kind of tricky, is to really explain how is it in the air. So we're going to have to really focus on the shadow here. So that's kind of the challenge of it, is mixing the two light sources, different lights together. So the canvas is 3 by 4 feet, and that's what I recommend. So this would legitimize, if AI does eventually take this image, at least there's going to be some sort of history as to its authenticity and where it actually came from. So that's what we're going to do, make a comment on, sadly, how our Constitution has been pushed to its limits. I'm also going to label some things. So there's a 47 on the hindquarters, and then these legs are going to be labeled. So this leg, the only one that's actually still trying to prevent this fall, will be labeled judicial. It's like it's up to the judicial branch at this point, because obviously the executive branch and the legislative branch, they're kind of one and the same. So now it's just up to the judiciary to see whether we can save this democracy or not. But it's certainly going to be a horrible, or it's certainly going to be a challenging next 3 years to see what he actually can get away with. So that's what this painting is about, social commentary. So this will be, I don't know how many parts it'll be. This one will be part 1 of probably 3, and I'll take you along as I paint this. Okay, so I could have painted this from a monitor, but I think it would have been a little bit more difficult to match the color. That's why I got it printed. so I can literally match these colors a little bit easier. So I'm gonna start with this, with the darker shape of the field, this olive green. Okay, so we're starting with the dark green, and it's mostly raw umber. So we have raw umber, titanium white, and chromium oxide green. And it's going to take a lot. Probably mix this up a few times. But here's just to show you. I'm just going to use a touch white and a little bit more chromium oxide. Keep in mind, chromium oxide is really a strong color. Doesn't take much. But we want to try to knock down the raw umber to get at the right value. Actually, that's pretty close already. Give it a little bit more green. And this is straight out of the tube. There's no reason to add any medium or anything to it. That's pretty good. I got a Raphael 18. Alright, so we're gonna probably have the horizon about up here. And I'm using it dry, straight out of the tube. And it's going to go all the way across. Definitely make sure that the canvas is smooth. Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot because you'll be able to push the paint around a little bit better. That's kind of too much of a curve. That's okay. Do you want some sky? if it gets a little dry, certainly add some linseed oil. Looks like I'm gonna have to match up some color already. Just gonna have a little bit of linseed oil here. Not to the point where it starts to drip. See how it gets lighter as it thins. Alright, so I'll pause it now and fill that in. Okay, so I have most of the dark green in, and I'm gonna let that dry. And the next stage will be doing the violet grays, and I love how I get a little bit of magenta on the right side of the flames. I think it's a video distortion, but I think that's pretty cool color to have that. So we're gonna let that dry, and pretty much the way I paint is, it's referred to as direct painting. So it's like, I mix up one color and I intend to leave it, and it's done. So that's pretty much why there's no underpainting, there's no drawing. We're just trying to get the basic shapes in. And the most predominant, of course, is that left front leg is kind of the central anchor to the whole drawing. So let that dry, and it was painted with not that much linseed oil at all, so there will be no danger of it dripping. Of course, if that's going to change when we get into more and more details, I'm going to have to use more of a fine brush, and I may even have to put the canvas flat so that I avoid drips. And so we'll pick it up next time.